Hello everyone, I'm Eno, and your server is empty. Or is it? Today I want to talk about this video that has found its way into my recommended section of YouTube and got me hooked to its series. The video in question is titled The Empty Server, which was posted by the channel 2 Idiot Germans. As of making this video, there are only 2 videos dedicated to the story, but there's a chance that the third one is currently in production, according to one of the channel's community posts. The videos do seemingly have a chronological order, so we'll start with the first one. The first video starts off with someone attempting to join either a casual match or a community server. The map in question is Thunder Mountain, which by itself already sets a bad precedent in my opinion. Upon connecting, as you might have guessed, there's 0 players on the server. No one in blue team, no one in red team, and presumably no one spectating. Our protagonist of this video chooses to play Sniper, which is a fair choice considering the map he's playing on. He greets the server in the most TF2 player way imaginable and gets a response from someone else on the server? Hold up, I thought there was no one else on the server. Well, whatever, I'll get back to that later. The sniper receives a message back from someone on red team in the once more TF2 player fashion. KYS. After looking around for a bit, the sniper can hear someone's footsteps approaching his vicinity, and it turns out to be an enemy spy, which runs past him and jumps off the map. So far nothing seems that far out of the ordinary. Toxic player on the enemy team? Check. Barely any form of communication from anyone on the server? Check. People randomly kill binding or dying to environmental hazards? Check. After the spy dies, he quote-unquote disconnects from the game. I just really want to emphasize the word disconnect here. There's a scout that is also seemingly attempting to jump off the map as fast as possible. However, the sniper attempts to hit a sick headshot and misses. The sound of his gun brought the enemy scout to a halt, and he stood still, looking at the sniper, nodding his head with a frightened face, as if he was giving him the approval to shoot him. There's more banter in the chat, and the sniper eventually moves further into the map. No one can be seen and nothing can be heard outside of the occasional map ambience, that is. A dead body of a heavy is spotted by our protagonist, but he eventually gets fed up and assumes that he connected to an idle server, after which he wants to disconnect, but then he makes this terrifying comment. When the camera pans back to the dead heavy, his body is gone. The sniper then makes the final move to enter the building to the left of the last control point after seeing someone from the red team walk inside of it. In a twist of events, it turns out to be that toxic player from the beginning of the video, but he's still insisting that the sniper should, well, die. He very vaguely tells our protagonist to die and leave while he can, and he eventually runs away after spotting something behind the sniper. Following the engineer's path, he's dead, and the sniper finds a message written on the wall. With not a lot of time left to figure out what to do, the sniper thinks back about the spy that jumped off of the map. And just narrowly before the creature reaches for him, he manages to follow the spy's footsteps and disconnects. Now, there's a lot of questions to be asked here, such as, How were there players on the server if it showed no one on either team when the protagonist initially connected? What happens to people when they get abducted by that thing? That thing being Server Blight, that's the canon name of it. And can Server Blight be harmed or killed in any way? Well, before we attempt to answer any of these questions, let's take a look at the second video. It continues off of the previous video where our previous protagonist managed to save himself by jumping off of the map. A new person joins and takes his place, a red engineer with a loadout most commonly referred to as a free-to-play. He walks out of spawn and sees a message written by the same red engineer from the previous video. Well, that's odd. Or at least it's odd for us, the viewers, but not Joni Daney. Joni sees the payload and decides to build its sentry next to it, assuming that anyone could come by and push it to win the round. As he's building the sentry, the same message keeps getting posted into the chat. Joni, still completely oblivious to what's going on, asks if there's any bad guys on the server, probably referring to the enemy team. Like any other reasonable person getting fed up with a chat flood, he tells Gillisuit to shut up. He eventually takes action into his own hands and tries to locate the origin of that fleshy sound. And then... he stands there in horror until... So what in the hell just happened? I haven't mentioned the name of the second video up until now for a good reason. The empty server migration. The implications here are that Server Blight somehow learned how to traverse through servers due to Joni leaving. You can even hear the entity thanking him before leaving itself. So Joni leaves, but unfortunately him leaving right in front of Server Blight also caused it to learn how to leave. But that begs the question, how is Joni able to leave without dying? It was made clear in the previous video that the only way to leave the server was by dying, and not just any dying. Your body must be in an unreachable place, otherwise you're still gonna get abducted by the entity. This is proven by the fact that the engineer from the first video appeared in the second one, and we remember how he died. So Joni must have somehow bypassed the restriction in the nick of time. Let's weigh our options here. Option number 1. Alt F4. Option number 2, console commands. Option number 3, complete power shut off. Option number 1 is automatically thrown out the window. It is genuinely impossible to use Alt F4 to close the game. I tried in every single Source game that I've recently played and it just did not work. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think it's possible. Option number 2 seems like the most likely option out of these three. Everyone knows about console commands nowadays, so it's very likely that Joni either wrote disconnect or quit into the console as fast as possible to get away. Option number 3 is pretty self-explanatory. If there's a scary creature chasing you, just turn your computer off and yeah. Regardless of what he did to escape from Server Blight's clutches, it can now visit any server. And with that, let's go back and try to answer our previous questions. How were there players on the server if it showed no one on either team when the protagonist initially connected? There's nothing we can do to explain this other than pure speculation, so here's what I think that happened. Since the entity is shown being able to learn and adapt from what it sees, it's highly likely that it might also be able to copy server plugins to some extent. There's plugins out there that remove team limits, as an example, so this theory doesn't seem too far-fetched in my opinion. Alternatively, it also could have been an oversight from the creators. But no, surely that would not happen, right? What happens to people when they get abducted by the server blight? Well, as of now, all we know is that it adds them to its mass of people that's already comprised of, kind of similar to SCP-001 when the day breaks. But what happens to the players themselves outside of the game? I would assume that their game crashes and the server disappears off of their list, as if it never existed in the first place. But it's possible that it goes deeper than that. Maybe something actually physically happens to them, but I wouldn't theorize here further until the third video releases. Can server blight be harmed or killed in any way? If we go back to the first video, there's a moment where the sniper jumps out of the window and makes a hurt sound from him taking fall damage. The entity jumps after him and makes a bone crunch sound, but doesn't actually display any signs of taking damage from the same fall. No hurt sound, just the bone crunch. However, it refuses to jump after the sniper towards the death pit. It's possible that the server blight is resistant to your typical blast, fire and bullet damage, but isn't invulnerable to map hazards, such as death pits or saw blades. All of these answers are just my own speculations based on what we've seen from the two videos, so feel free to disagree with my opinions. With that being said, if you liked the video, please check out the Two Idiot Germans channel. They make really cool shit. And they only have a little bit over 10k subscribers. They definitely deserve way more than that. Well, I'll be damned. Looks like another video dropped the moment I thought I was done writing the script for this video. And this one is over 10 minutes long. So we're gonna get a lot of information on the server blight. This video takes place in Snowy Coast, one of the maps added in the Invasion update that came out in 2015. First minute of the video has nothing particularly strange going on, just two friends kicking ass in a match.
KYS? That bitch tells me KYS? Fucking pyromanes. Aaron? Go soldier, we're gonna carry this team to victory! Move out! Let's go, fuck 'em up! I got you, bro. I got you. Let's go, fuck 'em up.
We can see that our protagonist dicks a lot. God, I'm just gonna call him Aaron as that's what his supposed name is. There's no fucking way that I'm calling him Dixalot throughout the whole video. We can see that our protagonist Aaron is back in the front seat of being hunted by the server blight. Aaron is definitely either not a tech-savvy person or somewhat new to the game, as he asks in the chat how his friend killbinded. And this next scene was done amazingly well. I'm not even gonna comment over it.
What's your deal with casual, man? Aaron? You good? What? Did Didn't you say... Someone who just joined? What do you mean? Okay. What the fuck? Why can't I leave? I can't! What the fuck? Who is this guy?
Aaron tells Hector that he recognizes the name of the person that just joined. Hector is unaware of the gravity of the situation and he simply assumes that they're just using cheats. Not an unfair assessment. However, Aaron starts panicking and is about to kill himself by damaging himself with his own rockets. But his friend stops him and he managed to convince him to kick the cheater's ass, and so they push the payload.
Stop, dude! If this guy's cheating, who cares? We can just Alt F4 anyway. We just carried the whole game. Some script kiddie's got nothing on us. Let's fuck this guy up.
Yes!
Yo, Heavy, you with us? Idiot.
They spot a scout who Hector chases after, and Aaron is reluctant about chasing after anything because he's still traumatized from his old encounter with Server Blight. When Hector kills the scout, we can see that it's the exact same scout from the very first video, the one that Aaron shot in the head when he was playing sniper. After this encounter, something seems off about Hector. His character model is twitching, he's talking in a very monotone manner, but let's assume that Scout didn't do anything bad to him.
What? Yeah, that's...
They hear gunshots, so Aaron tells Hector to investigate. While they're separated, Aaron spots the exact same scout crawling on all fours in a very unnatural manner.
Aaron? Yo, Heavy.
The Heavy initiates a chase, and just before he can get Aaron, he's kicked out of the server.
Yeah.
Once Aaron and Hector reach the final part of the map, they run into an engineer who we are familiar with. It's the same engineer, Joni, from the second episode in the series, Migration. We can only assume that Server Blight was chasing after him throughout the servers, and it eventually got him. Yet another chase is initiated. This time, however, instead of vote kicking them, Aaron manages to kill one, although its death is presumably only temporary, as its torso is seen to be dragged across the snow. Aaron then gives Hector an exposition on how Server Blight is learning and adapting to anything it comes across, and he's right. This can be seen in the migration episode, and even in this one. Aaron then points out that the entity repeats voice lines, and then it hits him. He turns around with a horrifying realization on his face.
What?
Hector, or as it's revealed to us, Matt, is no longer with us. He was taken over or infected by Server Blight, presumably as early as the Scout encounter. This is further accompanied by the fact that the Heavy starts chasing both Aaron and Matt, but afterwards specifically goes after Aaron only. Aaron is then chased by what used to be his friend, Matt, while telling him to stop and that he can't leave. But luckily, Aaron managed to escape from Server Blight for the second time. Now, there's only 3 episodes as of writing the script, and it'll probably stay like that as they all take a very long while to make. I hold a huge respect for people who bear with the pain of using source filmmaker. But in these 3 episodes, you can see how scarily fast the Server Blight learns and adapts. In the first episode, it merely hunts for its prey alone. It can't even use the chat box yet. In the second episode, it starts to get scary. It uses one of the people that was consumed by its mass as bait. Joni then makes the unfortunate mistake of accidentally teaching it how to leave the server and look for other ones. In the third episode, it can send out those who are infected to act as bait without having to puppeteer them. And overall, the bait is a lot more believable, and it learns how to use the voice chat. God knows what happened to Matt or Joni or any other people that had the unfortunate run-in with this thing. But I feel like Aaron might be the hero of our story. At the end of the series, somehow putting an end to Server Blight. Not necessarily saving all the people that are long gone by now, but preventing future incidents like these. But since this is just the 3rd episode, all we can do is speculate. In the meantime, make sure your server isn't empty, or else